Climate change could cause plants to use greater amounts of water in the future, leaving less water available for human populations in North America and Eurasia. A new study suggests that these regions may experience increasing water stress even if rainfall becomes more frequent or abundant. A doctor's confidence in a treatment may influence how well a patient responds to it. According to a recent study, patients may report less pain and experience better outcomes when they believe their healthcare provider expects the treatment to work. The findings suggest that communication and social interactions between healthcare professionals and patients can shape perceptions of treatment effectiveness. Scientists searching for intelligent extraterrestrial life may need to pay particular attention to signals coming from a specific region of the Milky Way. Researchers suggest that advanced civilizations located there could have discovered Earth by observing how our planet passes in front of the Sun, a technique known as the transit method. Bioperturbation refers to the disturbance and movement of soil caused by animals, and it plays an important role in many ecosystems around the world. Animal activity can change the location, structure, and condition of different soil areas over time. Animal activity in soil can influence both its physical structure and chemical composition. These disturbances may create areas without vegetation and modify the shape of the ground surface. They can also change soil density, structure, water infiltration, and moisture levels. Rituals that mark important stages of life can provide a powerful way to develop a deeper connection with nature and the world around us. Once people understand their relationship with the earth and recognize their place within the wider natural system, in meteorology, precipitation refers to any form of water that develops when atmospheric water vapor condenses and then falls toward the Earth because of gravity. It can occur in several different forms depending on atmospheric conditions and temperature. Astronomers have recently identified a large gas cloud located relatively close to our solar system where numerous new stars are currently forming. Although it may seem unusual that such an important astronomical feature remained unnoticed for so long, researchers have provided an explanation. Fin whale songs produce powerful sound signals that can travel through the ocean floor and interact with different layers of the Earth's crust. As these signals pass through sediment and solid rock, they are reflected and refracted in measurable ways. Seismometers positioned on the ocean floor can record these vibrations and provide researchers with valuable geological data. Literature helps people go beyond the limitations of their own experiences, cultures, and surroundings. Through books, readers can encounter individuals with different backgrounds, discover places far from their everyday environments, and explore periods of history that existed long before their own time.
Another important virtue they both promote is the idea of making the most of the present moment. There is little value in worrying about the past because what has happened cannot be changed or reversed. Similarly, spending too much time thinking about the future may be pointless because nobody knows exactly what it will bring. Current climate research suggests that rising greenhouse gas concentrations may cause soils in the interior regions of major continents to become increasingly dry. As agricultural land loses moisture, farmers and communities may need to find alternative sources of irrigation or move cultivation toward wetter regions. A large part of modern business takes place across national borders, bringing people from different cultural backgrounds into regular contact. Although English is widely used as a common language in international business, speaking the same language does not always guarantee effective communication. In the final stage of the experiment, researchers tested their findings on actual insects. They wanted to determine whether adhesion between the legs and surfaces could influence how real flies coordinate their movements while walking. Reserve requirements refer to the portion of customer deposits that banks are required to keep available rather than lend to borrowers. For instance, if a bank has a reserve requirement of 10% and receives a deposit of $100, it must keep $10 in reserve. Modern scientific thinking presents the Sun, Earth, and Moon as symbols of different stages in cosmic history. The Sun represents an earlier, intensely hot stage, while Earth reflects the present period of development, and the Moon suggests a colder future state. Recurring dreams, in which people experience the same or similar events repeatedly, are a common phenomenon reported by a large part of the population. Research suggests that almost two-thirds of people experience recurring dreams at some point. From a child's perspective, television advertising can raise several interesting questions about its real purpose. Children may wonder whether commercials simply provide actors with breaks between programs or whether their main goal is to persuade viewers to purchase products. Children often imagine many possible careers, such as becoming astronauts, dancers, doctors, or artists, because their future choices initially seem unlimited. As they grow older, however, these possibilities gradually become narrower due to personal interests and external circumstances. Seismology is the scientific discipline concerned with earthquakes and the movement of elastic waves through Earth and other planetary bodies. It also examines the environmental consequences of earthquakes, including events such as tsunamis.
The speaker recalls how he understood the English Revolution when he was a student. At that time, he believed his position was obvious and that he supported the aristocrats rather than the Puritans. As he grew older, however, he realized that the revolution was much more complicated than he had initially thought. An economic depression is a prolonged and serious decline in economic activity that can affect one or several economies. It is generally more severe than a recession, which refers to a temporary reduction in economic activity during the normal business cycle. History is necessarily selective because it is impossible to record every event that occurred in the past. History books therefore contain only the information that historians have chosen to include. Researchers must decide which events, people, and developments are important enough to be recorded and discussed. According to Now, birds may deliberately build their nests near alligators to protect themselves from predators. Although this behavior might seem unusual, the presence of an alligator can provide a natural form of protection for bird colonies. Over generations, wolf populations may have gradually separated into two groups, those that were afraid of humans and those that showed little fear of them. According to this idea, wolves that were more comfortable around people would have been easier for humans to approach and eventually domesticate. Dopamine is a common neurotransmitter that carries messages between brain cells and performs many important functions in the nervous system. One of its major roles is supporting different aspects of cognitive processing, including how the brain responds to information and influences behavior. Scientists have studied dopamine extensively, particularly in relation to external cues and environmental influences. Earlier studies have provided indirect evidence that Ganymede, the largest moon in our solar system, may contain more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. However, extremely low temperatures keep water on its surface completely frozen. Many Southerners opposed Abraham Lincoln's presidency because they believed their political rights and independence were being threatened. They wanted greater control over their own government and felt that the presidential election had been unfair. They also feared that their interests would be ignored or restricted under the new administration. In 1861, Matthew Brady, a famous portrait photographer, asked President Abraham Lincoln for permission to travel freely across the country and photograph the American Civil War. Lincoln approved his request, allowing Brady to accompany Union forces and work wherever they were stationed. When introverts think through a problem, they often search their long-term memory for relevant information and previous experiences. They may compare what has happened in the past with new situations before reaching a conclusion. This process can take more time, but it often results in decisions that are carefully considered.